Bethesda is bringing more new content to Skyrim. Over the past few months, we've seen a couple of teases around the next batch of Creation Club releases, but now we're getting the largest, the most in-depth and detailed version of this, coming with a wide variety of written details, but also screenshots to go along with it. Pretty similar to the Fallout 4 side of things, this marks a pretty notable transition for Creation Club with Skyrim. For starters, the amount of content coming with this in general is actually quite expansive, but even further, even as far as some of these individual releases go, they're pretty massive. Some of the largest stuff we've seen get added to Skyrim thus far, which has already had some pretty big stuff in the past. So in this video, I'm going to be going over all of these details. It does seem like the expected release date for this is November 21st, according to Bethesda themselves. So one, back up your files on PC so your mods don't break, but two, if you are interested and want to get some of this content right away, that is when it will be available. But either way, one of the first things that is on the way, one we've seen several teases of, but actually get a look at some new content around, is Saints and Seducers. This is being described as the largest adventure to come to Creation Club to date, or at least on the Skyrim side of things, and that's specifically because it is adding in so much in the way of content, new equipment for you to use on your character or other characters. And based on the description at the very least, this is one of the first things from Creation Club that to me truly sounds like a mini DLC. So in effect, after getting the Saints and Seducers, you're going to have a new quest to track down a troubling new development in Skyrim. And with that, you'll be taken through a new dungeon, as well as actually encounter new types of enemies. You'll of course also see new NPCs in the form of Golden Saints and Dark Seducers. You can see some of the images of them in the background, and we've seen quite a bit of these guys in past previews. And based on the relationship the Dark Seducers specifically have had in the past, it seems like this quest will be focused around Sheogorath, so likely he'll be making a return in some form. And although the actual dungeon or the main quest itself doesn't have too many details shared about it, just as this larger concept goes, it seems like it's going to have a lot going on. You have the main quest and dungeon, but also reportedly as you're completing that, there'll be notes hidden around that also involve side quests for you to tackle. And through completing this main quest and some of these side quests, you're going to gain access to new summons, so you'll be able to summon both Daedra pictured here, new craftable armors, new armors that you'll just find, and the same also going for new weapons and weapon sets, new recruitable pets, as well as new alchemy ingredients, the things we've been really waiting for. And frankly, just based off the visuals on this one, some of the content that is teased with it looks pretty cool. Of course, with something of this nature, outside of just the raw content itself, even though it does look pretty awesome, you do have questions about length of this main quest, length of some of those side quests. I assume they'll be fairly short, especially on the side quest end, but this seems like a cool concept, a new dungeon experience with some branching parts for you to explore, and also pretty much everything in this image for you to actually use on your own character or even summon some of these things. Although that is just the first of the things teased. Secondly, we do hear more about Dead Man's Dread. So with this one, what it seems like is going on is you're going to be taking on Cyrus's ship, that with Dead Man's Dread. Cyrus was one of the main characters of a previous Elder Scrolls game. It's who you played as. This was one of the early ones, the Elder Scrolls Redguard. Unlike some of the modern games, that one really wasn't as much of an RPG. You were a set character and you had a backstory. So now this is the continuation of that story. The ship Dead Man's Dread is now arrived somewhere in Skyrim. You're gonna have to go to that ship, probably take down a few enemies along the way, but you'll be able to find out the backstory of Cyrus and his crew, what actually happened to them. But with this, you'll be able to actually get Cyrus's outfit and Cyrus's sword, but also a totally separate outfit and sword also. And really the icing on the cake, what I actually think makes this particularly cool, the ship itself is going to act as a player home. I guess technically it's just described that it comes with a custom naval home. I'm going to assume that this is that custom naval home, that being the Dead Man's Dread, but technically it could be something separate. Either way, this looks like another pretty cool one. It does seem like it is actually adding to the Elder Scrolls lore. You now will get additional details about what happened to Cyrus in the long run, although I don't know, Creation Club kind of falls in that weird middle ground. It's been fairly lore friendly with Skyrim, but on the Fallout 4 side, you had like Doom items in games, so not really lore friendly. But I feel like this one in particular is a good example of Bethesda taking some of this Creation Club content to the next level. In the past, I really could see them just adding in this outfit, this sword, and just some random boat and calling it a day. You go on the boat, find the outfit and sword, and that's the whole thing. This time around, it seems like it's a lot more involved than that. You have several swords, several outfits, and a new player home, and that's a direction I'm definitely happy to see. We'll see how that affects affects the pricing of some of these things, but at least there is more content. Although next up we have one that is smaller, but also pretty interesting, that with goblins. A very original name, I gotta say. So in effect, what this will do is actually have several goblin spawns throughout certain areas within Skyrim, and reportedly these guys will be led by a mysterious goblin called Blue God. But in effect, outside of just having some new goblins to fight and take down, which is another nice way to kind of flesh this one out, it'll also add in a new goblin follower. So although most of the goblins will be aggro to you, this one won't. This guy's name is going to be Go, or I guess maybe Gog, depending on the pronunciation. And to break it down, it's just going to be a new follower. Something unique about him, he has his own summon that only he will be able to use, which is kind of cool. That does definitely make him stand out from a lot of the other, especially vanilla followers. But outside of just the summon, he also will have his own unique cosmetic options that you can apply to him. And fortunately, you could actually use this companion with one additional standard companion. This is one of those ones that I don't really know. Maybe it'll be really cool in practice. Maybe it'll be kind of a one in practice. I think the pricing might have a big impact on that. Obviously, when you have custom follower mods like Inigo, it's not really easy to compete, but I don't think this one's even trying to compete all that much. Although something that will see a lot of competition, we also do have Hendraheim. Another one that, I don't know, am I saying that right? Maybe. This will be a brand new player home added into Skyrim. It is described as a grand Nordic hall, built in a tradition befitting the warriors of old. And on the interior, it's pretty clear that this was decorated by a warrior. It actually looks pretty cool, even independent of its price. With this player home, it's also described how there's going to be a trophy room, but also just a lot of displays all throughout it. So you have a lot of opportunities to show off some of your various items. And actually something else that's kind of cool, it's described that you can't buy this player home, but rather you're going to have to win it through courage in combat. So all around, I feel like player home mods and Creation Club are one of the hardest categories to really get behind, mainly because there are just so many amazing player homes, and there's not that much custom you could do. Like, some of them have unique things. I think this one looks particularly good, but let's say it's $4. Is it $4 better than the free one? I don't know. Obviously, when it comes out, I'll have a full video going over what exactly it adds, so hopefully you can make that determination for yourself. But then next up, we do have the long-awaited return of the Grey Cowl in Skyrim. So naturally, one of the core parts of this is it's actually going to add in the Grey Cowl yet again in Skyrim. This appeared in some of the older Elder Scrolls games. It came with unique interactions, and it'll also have some unique functionality in Skyrim. So in Skyrim, when you put this on, guards won't see you as yourself or whatever reputation you have, but will see you as the Grey Fox and whatever reputation he holds, which is typically going to be a pretty negative one because he was a criminal. But similarly, if you commit a bunch of crimes while wearing this mask, run away, and then take it off, you won't have a reputation decline. Although it is explicitly stated if you take it off in front of guards, they will catch on to that. As far as getting this one, it just described how to become the next Grey Fox, you must first restore the identity of the cowl's bearer. All around, this seems like a cool one. It's actually one of those ones that was originally teased when Creation Club's trailer came out, so it's been in the pipeline for a while, but obviously it looks like it's gotten several updates. It's actually been expanded, which is nice to see. There's several mods doing a very similar thing, so I know this one in particular will have a lot of competition, and I definitely will be doing some comparisons in that regard. But last but not least, we do have alternate armor, steel and ebony. This is a pretty simple one. It's basically going to be certain armors that were originally created for blades now being in Skyrim. So you have one, a new heavy steel armor, but also a new heavy ebony armor. Based on the listing, it looks like these will be two separate ones, probably pretty cheap. So maybe if you buy a points bundle, you could pick this one up also just to kind of get rid of the rest of those points, or alternatively just not. There are a lot of armor mods, and it looks like it's going to probably be a fairly cheap and very simple one. But at the same time, the armors definitely do look cool, and especially for PS4 users, maybe this is pretty appealing. But otherwise, naturally being pretty simple, it's just a new custom armor. As I mentioned in one of my past videos on this, I think one of the deciding factors of this one could really be whether or not it actually integrates into the leveled list. So then you don't just have to use it yourself. If you just see a bunch of other enemies start spawning with it, it makes it a lot more appealing, fleshing out Skyrim in an interesting and natural way. I'm sure mods will do that one way or another, but with that being said, that is a recap at all of the new teases for the up and coming items on their way to Skyrim's Creation Club. There's without a doubt some interesting stuff coming here. I think the Saints and Seducers in particular looks pretty cool. That is really starting to approach DLC sized quality. I would still call it more of a mini DLC, but I'm also going to be really curious to see the prices on a lot of this new stuff. Several of the things, both on the Fallout 4 and the Skyrim side, are good quality items that I would buy for the right price. And as of late, I think Creation Club is getting that first point right, creating quality content that is worth some amount of money, and now we just got to get over that last hurdle of it actually being the right amount of money. So we'll see how that all plays is out. And with this stuff in particular, I would love to hear from all of you. Would you purchase this? If you're someone who regularly mods Skyrim, is there something Creation Club could add to the game that would make you interested? The Saints and Seducers, for the right price, let's say it's $5, $10, or $15. Would you buy that? To me, it's all pretty interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of great free mods, so it does make it a hard sell sometimes. But with all that being said, I thank you again for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.